And 3, 2, 1.
Baby, you know how it goes. It gets lonely in this bed alone. Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Baby, you know how it goes. It gets lonely in your...
Welcome back, Powerheads. Here we go with the mid-season finale, episode 5. And, you know, we searched through the caves and we got in contact with the sheriff's department and we were able to find E. Dodd. Welcome back to the show, E. Dodd.
What's up, guys? Welcome. Glad to be back.
There you go, man. We missed you, bro. We missed you. All right, so here we go, man. We start off with a bang. We're rolling up to the station. Your boy McLean Davis is on his job as usual. They rolling up with a limo. They're going through the back door. And next thing you know, they're up with Jenny McCarthy and Whitman and Kamal and all those cats. And Jenny says,
well, we don't need Zeke anymore. Obviously, we all know from the end of 4, they found Detective Ramirez's body. So because they found his body, they could tell that he was dead for way too long to have been contracted to kill Professor Melbourne.
Now, what's up with your boy Whitman, man? He's like a dog with a bone, and and he can't let that bone go. Why can't he let that bone go? Why he gotta focus on Zeke?
Because Carrie put that she put the thing on him.
And then Zeke seems to be quite a bit taller, so if things are in proportion, maybe he's suffering from a little envy.
And, you know, that could possibly be it too, but I definitely just think it's more so of she put it on him and he's, you know, a little jealous that kind of for the streets and he doesn't have her anymore.
Kamal is still like, man, you need to drop that, man. You need to drop it because we're finding out more and more as time goes on that Tariq St. Patrick, his dad, was Ghost, who was rumored to be a drug dealer, even though he was running for attorney general. So all that information is popping up. So Kamal wants to focus on him. And so they still want to go ahead and use the wire and all that stuff to kind of rope things together. Lauren, you know, it's like, I can't do it anymore. And then your girl Carrie hypes it in overdrive, said, oh no, you know, they're not looking at Tariq. They're looking at Braden because there's supposed to be some white guy selling on campus. So she's telling half lies right there.
Yeah, she is. I mean, she's in save her ass mode. And so she's just trying to get her name off, you know, as quick as possible. And she doesn't really care who goes down in the meantime. They don't care if it's Tariq, if it's Braden, whoever.
And as time goes on, you know, they get more information from this wire. It may not be everything they need, but now they know that Jabari was actually talking to Tariq about the book. Mm-hmm. Now, personally, I'm thinking that may be an out for Tariq to use, you know, because they got to put all the evidence out there on the table. And it makes no sense for Jabari unless he's trying to blackmail Muggs and there's nothing in his past or his current situation that would indicate he's a blackmailer. They're trying to, I mean, he could say, look, you know, why would he show that to me? And I think that he's just going to say, hey, you know, he wanted to consult me about some things around the campus in my life. And he wanted to kind of plug it in to kind of beef up his story.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jabari should have never told Tariq about that, but it's definitely a plausible out that Tariq never knew that book was being made because, like you said, why would you want to go and warn the person who you're about to write this about? Why would you warn them that it's coming?
Meanwhile, Carrie is like, yo, I'm out. I don't want to be dealing with this anymore. You figured out it's not Zeke. There's no need for me to cooperate anymore. But then Kamal knows what buttons to push. He's like, you took an oath and you got to go ahead and you got to come up with a reason to go ahead and just see this thing through. So they go ahead and give her the digital copy of Jabari's book. More implications for Tariq.
That's a ton more because if they've got the digital copy of that book, oh my God. I mean, Carrie's going to know what was going on.
Yep.
She's going to know exactly who they're talking about. And that's probably part of the reason why they're going to really be pressing Lauren to keep wearing that wire.
No doubt. Meanwhile, I guess somebody else we know about is really, let's think about it. Let's talk about the timeline. All right. We know now it wasn't Kane. It's Zeke. It's her and Mecca's child, or as she knows him as Dante. With her knowing that, and, you know, basically she never even told him. But Mecca figures everything out. So again, that makes him more dangerous than Lorenzo. Then we already know about the standing Brazilian chokes and all this crazy stuff. And, you know, it's just like, I'm not really seeing that as an even fight so far.
But I think in episode 4, we saw a little bit of foreshadowing of that when she was leaving her conjugal visit with Tejada. And he was like, yeah, if it were one of our kids, I would do it, but he's not one of our kids.
But she's still thinking he's a nephew.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. and she's over there like, this is my son. I just can't tell you that this is my son.
Exactly. Getting back to the community fairy. She's in a situation where she's supposed to be faithful to her man behind prison. She's boned Ramirez. And somewhere in the midst of all that, she boned Dante, a.k.a. Mecca. So who's really the community?
I'm trying to say, how would she have been able to have Zeke without anybody knowing? Kane's older. So where was Kane? You have her other son who's about the same age.
Oh, she was just fat.
So how was she?
I got a little bit of gas. Meanwhile, Tariq is sweating the whole situation. He is trying to get an apartment. He is trying to get a lawyer to defend him. And all because Estelle, we just saw in the last episode, was shaking Yasmin around when she confronted Estelle about her drinking and she threw her to the floor. So this is way too much overboard. Drinking has got out of control. You know, she is not going to be any type of fit parent. Everything is spiraling down. Your boy Mecca rolls up because Monet wants to meet with him to try to call it quits. And he just happens to whip out the motherfucking trust fund. The trust fund is naming all her children, Diana, Drew, Kane, and of course, Zeke. Everybody gets the trust fund. And he's like, you don't need to do this in life anymore. And she's just fading rapidly. It's a two-phase thing. So she fades a little bit there, and then she fades a little bit later because whatever she was trying to do as far as breaking it off ain't working.
He's not letting that woman go.
Nope.
He's not letting her go, not easily at least.
And that's exactly what he said. He said, I am not leaving New York unless you leave with me. Dante and Nene sitting in a tree. Kissing. That's how they rolling up in this piece. What's happening is, meanwhile, Kane is up to his nonsense. You remember at the last episode, he went ahead and planted that badge on Tariq at Tariq's desk.
That's crazy. I don't know why he would. I mean, that's bringing it too close.
He knows that he was heavily involved with what happened. All right. So he was telling Mecca, look, I got to get out of town and all this. And Mecca was like, yo, slow your roll. Just make sure you have somebody dependent on. Mm-hmm. So he's following Mecca's advice. Mecca's just like knows what he's doing. He's a chess master, which makes me wonder if he's that secret brother that Courtney Kemp was talking about that Ghost had, because he's just too much of a chess player, always 3 moves ahead. But in this particular case, he's alienating, separating Tariq because Tariq is not really part of the family. But he doesn't know what Tariq's going through and what he's trying to do. Tariq is, he's a knucklehead, but he's always on the good side of trying to make things better.
We saw him speak to that in episode 4 when they were in class, and he said, well, he's kind of one of those, if the ends justify the means, then was whatever I had to do to get me there. He's like, to me, it's worth it.
Tariq is getting pressure from all sides. We got the situation where Monet just go ahead and scoops him up in her Mercedes Jeep. And she's like, you've been lying to me about this. You didn't tell me about this, blah, 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 blah. I shouldn't even trust you. I should kill all y'all. Meanwhile, she's got Tariq like, And then so she tells Tariq, well, you're going to have to prove your trust to me. You need to find out Kane's connect. Who is that? Now, does she know Dante as Dante, or does she know Dante as Mecca?
She knows Dante as Dante.
There you go.
I think she knows Dante as Mecca, and that's going to be an interesting little dynamic when she finds out.
You got the situation where she sticks Tariq on the tail, you know what I mean? But then she's jumping over to Kane, and she's telling Kane that he needs to go ahead and find out, what's going on with Tariq, what's his weakness, what's his underside. She's sicking both of them against each other and whatnot, and it's just getting mad crazy. So meanwhile, your boy, he's out there. He talks to Diana because he needs money all of a sudden. I mean, like extra money, like ASAP. Because the trial hearing against Estelle is the next morning. He has to get money to pay the lawyer, who, as we all know, is from the Cosby Show. And he seems to be about the money, but he also seems to be not too bad a guy. He's just like super, what's the word I'm looking for? Bougie. He needs to pay him. He needs to find an apartment and all this stuff. He is like telling Diana, look, I need your help. And she's like, well, you help me. You find out what Kane is about. So now he has 2 people wanting to know what Kane is about. Diana already knows that she fessed up to Tariq that your boy Kane sugared the coke and shit. And so she's like, okay, I got you. And then she goes to Kane and she's like, you know, you need to go ahead and take care of that for him. And he's like, why? It sounds like a him problem. And she's like, well, okay, you know, you can't fall for the fact that, you know, he's trying to fight for his little sister. So in the meantime, I'm going to tell mom. And I'm going to tell mom you sugar the cane. That could blow a whole lot of things up. So he was like, all right. So he shows up thinking that Tariq is going to show up because he told Diana to tell Tariq to show up, but Braden shows up because Tariq is thinking 3 steps ahead. Well, maybe 2 steps ahead. He's going to checking out the meeting and all that stuff. Finally, Tariq has an automobile. He's got the Fly X5 blue joint from your girl, Lauren, who loaned him the car. He starts tailing Kane, and he traces him to an apartment complex where he's like, I got a delivery from Mecca. Tariq is so much sweating. He should have cut it off at that. He's got the name of the dude. That's all he needs. But he's going ahead. He's using his camera on his phone. And maybe he had some type of heat sensor shit on it because, you know, who knows what technology is nowadays, where he could have figured out which buttons were pressed. And then next thing you know, your boy Nuff gets him in a chokehold from behind. And the whole scene is playing out because your boy Kane is upstairs and he's standing right next to Chef and he's with Mecca. And so your boy Chef is like, do you know him? And he's like, nah. And he's like, well, you might want to say if you know him, because Nuff is not really good at stopping once he gets started. And meanwhile, he's whipping the shit out of Tariq, okay? Tariq is catching him. And it's like, damn, he gets stomped in the grill, also his cousin bruises on the face and all that stuff. And then your boy, originally, he tries to sweat Kane, and Kane doesn't fold. So Chef is like, all right, let him go. Mecca comes up in the picture, and he's like, you know, so what's going on here? I got his phone, you know, here's his cell phone, you know, he was doing this and that, you know, so I catched it, I nabbed him. So he's feeling all good about himself. Meanwhile, Mecca's breaking it down like this. Number one, we don't need any neighbor complaints. So if you whipping somebody half to death up front and he's not part of Mahoney's crew, there is no purpose in you doing that. You could have just told me what was happening and we had this dude on camera. And we already know that Mecca knows what Tariq looks like. Because remember when he was fine on the whole meeting? Yep. He just gets a little nod to your boy Chef. And Chef is like, Gensu, karate, all over. Enough is done. He's like all over the sushi, not good look. And it's really messing up the sushi flavor, I'm pretty sure. But I bet you it's a new spicy roll containing enough karate. So that's like extra wasabi on that bad boy. Your boy's like, Becca, I'm not supposed to say this. But he gets so nigga with it. I love it. He goes, look at you. It's enough as he's bleeding out. You know, there's the end of that.
Nuff has always been messy. I mean, he's always been doing a little bit too much. And I think like what, you know, Mecca finally saw that and was like, all right, he's got to go.
Can't keep doing that. For somebody who's expendable, he shouldn't run his mouth a lot. And your boy Chef was just like, yo. Meanwhile, Kane has put it all together. So he's got Tariq's phone. He figures out, he knows about the whole meeting the next day, about the court, you know, trying to get custody of his little sister. He knows all of that. And he just blows up him at night with the phone. And he's like, what am I? What am I? You always say it's family. You always say it's the business. So what am I? Am I your soldier? Am I your son? And then she's like, you're both. And he's like, so what kind of mother does that make you? And then so he is just like hot with it. You know, you played both of us. You could have got both of us killed. And then he starts seeming to be feeling some love for Tariq. And he's like, make sure if Tariq gets his phone back, he's got a hearing. So Monet pops up at the courthouse because it's another opportunity for her to go ahead and twist some more knuckles and stuff. Meanwhile, Tariq is busted up. And it's already cost him. You take it back to when he was going ahead and he was trying to get his apartment and Lauren was going with him and the lady saw him. She's like, well, the apartment is no longer available. She went full Karen on her. You know, yeah, that to the fact that your girl Lauren just came through like a champ. My brother, and really, I thought her brother was dead. But she said, this is my brother's apartment. You know, we're not even going to have to find you an apartment because here's the lease papers for it. So she just comes through like a champ. Yeah. And there's an extra photo in there from that particular scene I'm going to throw in there just for you. All right, so moving forward for there. So he shows up all busted up in the court. Monet is sweating him in the guard. She's like, you almost made me lose my son, so you're going to stay here until you lose your daughter. And then so he was like, you know what? You think you're running the game. You ain't running nothing. You're out on an island. You are surrounded by stuff up under your nose, and you have no idea what's going on there. Diana, she stole the money from the safe, and that's why you went on a murderous raid and killed that dude. She's like, Kane, he sugared the coat. Drew is still effing that nigga that dropped dime on Drew and Zeke. Everett. All right, so he's like, you need me. And then she's like, all right, get out the car.
That's how she typically handles business when she gets proven to be wrong. She's like, all right, it's time for you to go now. I don't have nothing else to say to you.
And then your boy Zeke, he's like happy as hell. He's like stumbling all over campus. Not drunk or nothing, drunk with life. He's got a whole new pink hoodie with the blonde hair and all this stuff. And he stumbles across Everett, and, he comes to Everett's apartment. And then your boy Drew is there. And, they was about to do some, okay. So, he interrupts all that. He's like, oh, y'all know each other. You remember that night? He's like, oh, no, we don't need to talk about that. That's tripped out, man. And so he just steps out of there, and he's like going to show the chicks his new do and whatnot. Back to the whole Tariq court case. Your girl has no legs to stand on. And Tariq even actually says, I will actually pay for my mother's rehab. She's not ready right now. I'm ready right now. So even though he was all busted up, the judge was like, he looks like he's been in a rumble. And but then it just goes away magically. So I'm like, oh, okay. Y'all need to rock that plot out a little bit better, where at least he answers to what was going on and whatnot. He told Lauren that he was robbed, but he didn't say anything to the judge. And I'm like, that's the most important joint right there. Yeah. But anyway, he gets out of there. And then next thing you know, he's going back to campus. He sees a whole bunch of cops around. And before that, though, we got to get to this. The classroom scene where your girl, Carrie, brings up karma, which is not related to any of their studies. And she's bringing up, she wants Tariq to answer the question. And she's like, when you do something bad and things just come back to harm you, because she's already read the book. So Tariq is sweating. He doesn't know what's going on there. He goes up to campus. There's a bunch of cops around. Carrie's on the yard. And Kamal and Whitman come walking up. You're under arrest. Because guess what?
And if you notice, it's the cut called Little Shorty by Trippy Bone that was played when Ghost originally went into Hooskow, or the big house in Ghost Book 1.
Yeah, so now, this is the part that just blew my mind. And, I think it's leading to something. And, Eric, I think you're going to disagree with me, but I think it's leading to something. But basically, he goes there and he says, the jailer goes, you have a visitor, so it's your lawyer. So we all think it's McClay Davis, but it's not. It's the conservative dude. And he said, I have this letter to give you from your dad, and I was only to give it to you in case you were arrested for a homicide. So he puts the letter out, and I'm not sure if he wrote the whole thing or not, because the first 2 lines was enough. He was like, all right, little nigga, you right where you belong. Now, once we all start falling out of our chairs and contain ourselves, what's happening? Okay, so there's several possibilities. One is Ghost is how many steps ahead?
At least 3.
At least 3. So he could have put something in play just in case, talk to somebody like some thugs in the jail that he had connections with. Look out for my boy if he ever gets here, that type of stuff. I'm going to put some money on your books for a minute. Or he's actually running things because he's still alive. What you thinking?
You know how I feel about that one. I think that, I don't believe Ghost to still be alive. So I think it's more of the latter. I think, he realized that if anybody was going to kill him, it was probably going to be his son. And I think he wrote that from a mindset of, if he goes for a homicide, it's going to be me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the one that he killed.
No. If we got the Ghost thing, Ghost was totally surprised. He thought it was going to be Tommy. And Tommy, but he thought, so he had all that shit rigged up.
I think what he was saying is, what I was trying to say is, I think that if Tariq were to go to jail for a homicide, it was going to be me. Like, I was going to be the one that he killed if Tariq was going to go to jail for a homicide. So I think this was just like pre-planning because...
it's just a lucky coincidence that came in too late.
That it came in, he didn't get charged in, his death, but he got charged with the other one, which is also a little bit interesting because, How dumb would you have to have been to kill somebody 2 weeks ago and then keep their badge in an unsecure drawer when you know, especially when you know what's going on? Like,
but he's also the big drug dealer on campus. So where the drugs?
We know how they got rid of those with the lockers.
There you go, the 3D printers. Yo.
3D printer.
Yeah, so man, I think he can get out of that, especially with your boy McLean Davis. So to wrap it up real quickly, your boy McLean Davis is up in this piece. He's trying to get Redman out, and I forget Redman's character. Y'all strike me dead. I'm sorry.
Theo Rollins.
He's trying to get him out, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna get you out. I'm gonna pivot sacks towards you because he just got this other dude out. And we'll get to that other dude in a minute. He's like, once he's done with that, I'm gonna pivot him your way. It's a similar situation. And he's like, I'm not gonna let you stay in here. And he's like, well, I'm gonna make sure you don't come in here. And so what basically I got from that is that, okay, I'm gonna go with your plan, but if it goes sideways, I'm gonna make sure it's just gonna be me taking the heat. Yeah. So that's some real brotherhood stuff right there, man. So it was cool. Now, meanwhile, we're talking about Sax and his representation. He's representing Lorenzo. Yeah. And guess what? Lorenzo's out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there we go. That was the wildest episode ever. We're wrapping it up. We're about to get out of here. Best to you guys from Warhol, E-Dot, and your boy Invisidil. Behind the scenes, we got mad predictions, insight, and the wrap. Till next time, 2 weeks from now. Peace.
You know, that Tariq say Cloud, I mean, no. See, Jamie say, fuck, Patrick. Okay. That Tariq St. Patrick.
My Xfinity is messed up.
Are we recording the episode where the whole episode is the blooper? That's just a drill. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That's what we do with the PowerWatch.